Welcome to Leadership, Love and Laughter, where we dive into the unspoken truths in life and business. I'm Natalie Potts.
And I'm Victoria Dio.
Let's go!
Hello there. Welcome to Leadership,
Love
and Laughter. My name is Victoria Dio, and you are?
Natalie Potts.
Welcome. What are we talking about today, Potts?
We're talking about love in leadership.
Love and leadership, relationships and all of that.
Yeah.
You're in a relationship, aren't you, Potts?
I am.
How long's that been going?
I knew you'd ask me that, and I just told my community earlier, I was like, I don't know how long we've been together, which really wells him up. I don't know, year and a half?
Year and a half.
So why should girls know that?
I think you know it. I think you're just pretending that you don't know it. I think you're just trying to.
It's a year and a half-ish, yeah. But
a year and a half-ish. And how's that working out with
Very
business?
well.
And because it's not easy.
No.
Let's face it and stuff. It's like when you're running a business, or if you're in leadership, you've got a whole lot of other responsibilities.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that if you're not in leadership, you don't have responsibilities, but leadership normally means that you're responsible for so much more. Either it's people or like the business of something or the running of something. And then you have to go home and work on a relationship. Because to be fair, a relationship also involves a bit of work.
Yeah. I've always had to work in relationships, and before I was with Tom, I was pretty much like I was just dating a bit for the years, but like probably about 6 years, because I was very much focused on. I'd just come out of a bad split. I think it was roughly the age 26. I had to move home, and that was like, that's it. I was like, I wanted to get my fitness in place and start. I'd never been to a gym. I'd never really put on jeans. So I wanted to get that sorted out and like fall in love with myself as such a bit more, give it time and know about how I want to be. I did more travelling on my own, and I wanted to progress at work, and I wanted to get a mortgage by 30. So I did all those things. And then that time after that, I was like, it's not essential. Like, and I was that person. I'd go on dating apps and stuff, but I was like, I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody, right? I just want the fun of it. And I needed that time out for a few years, and then it just kept going. And I got in relationships for the odd 6 months, but the dynamics was bloody tough, to be fair, at points.
Why was it tough?
Because I'm very driven, I'm very focused, and there came a lot into play about the money, what you earn, being like the breadwinner as such, and then the pressures around the fact of that meant I had a mortgage and a place, and like lots of people don't sometimes, you know, and that added things, especially if they're living at home with mum and dad still at those ages. And then there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of pressures, and the roles come into play of male, female. And then I found that some relationships I got into, there'd be very successful men when I say very successful, they have very good jobs and lots of money, but like the mental health was really challenging, and then it just unpacked more challenges for me. And I think there was one relationship I remember being in, and I was getting calls at night at 10 from my team, and he just couldn't understand it. And I just said to him, I'm going to be really honest, like if you're going to ever make me choose, that's it. This stops now. There'll never be you putting me into a choice mode, because that I love what I do.
Yeah.
And my team need me, and that's my responsibility. So you not understanding that, this is over then. So I think, I've had to work on certain things for sure.
I was going to ask, would you say the same thing now?
It's an interesting one, because it's come up in the business world. I mean, now in circles I'm in with people where they have conversations around their partner saying like, when's enough, especially if you're female and you're driven, and you earn very good money as well, and that adds a pressure. But I openly said at an event recently, and I was always very transparent with Tom, and I wouldn't say anything behind his back on any of this, but there's certain money mindset challenges that we have together that are very different on that, and what we want in life's the same. And our values are very driven the same, in beliefs. But I said in that room that fundamentally Tom came into my life with me doing what I'm doing now. So to ever put me again into that dynamic of all that choice mode, I just wouldn't entertain it. And he knows what I'm doing is like, because I will make investments. Like the other week I just said to him, one day I was like, I spent $2,000 on this today, and he was like, what? And I was like, I didn't even really think about it. And he was like, $2,000. And I was like, yeah. I was like, but I need this and this. And it's like, because I see it as business. So I have to, and even that decision, I have to be very mindful to somebody. I can't, it's a little bit ill of me to just go, oh, I just spent $2,000 like that. So I've got to work on even that thing there. So the fundamentals are, he's come into my life with me doing what I do, and I love it. And he's very kind and understanding, and he won't put me in that position. So I think it comes down to a lot with relationships. One, it starts with the communication we have with ourselves on these things, and then the level of communication we have in all relationships. That's the key to a great relationship, I think, is, for me, is always communication.
Yeah. I said this recently, and I keep on saying again, it's that we're human first.
Yeah, and it is that.
And it's that whole thing of, without our businesses and without our jobs, what have we got left?
Yeah.
And then we stand on our own, if that makes sense. And sometimes we need to connect deeper to ourselves to understand our relationships. And here's the thing. I'm a product of a mum who was very ambitious. She still is, right? She still is. And I love how my dad always edified her. And they equally had high-powering jobs. And my mum didn't sacrifice anything. Like, my mum, she had 6 children. You know, the last 2, as soon as they hit 2 months and stuff, she left the country, came back, and the kids were already off breast milk, and then she went back to work. Like, my mum was on it. And while some mothers would cringe at this, I know that my mum has never looked at her children and gone, you deprived me from this. Like, she's led a happy life, and she's earned and she's enjoyed life and everything else. But also, my dad has been so proud of what she's achieved, because most women in Cameroon, where my parents lived, were teachers. My mum was a bank manager, so it was very unusual, you know, like, and funnily enough, my sister said this to me the other day, and I'd never thought of it, but it was that whole thing of, a lot of men supported their wives being teachers because they would be home at the same time as the children. So they still could look after the home and be the wife and the mother. So never would they come home, say, at 10 o'clock and the wife's still working, like, you know, be like, what are you doing? And so, meanwhile, you know, women who are like my mum, who had different kind of jobs or businesses or leadership roles like us, it's a whole different mindset. Yeah. And also the money we earn as well. Like, in the personal development world, you're almost conditioned to look beyond the price. It's almost like you look at the value that you're going to get, so to speak. And as a result, you make the money quickly, but you also invest the money quickly as well.
Right.
Meanwhile, for somebody who's on a salary, it's almost alien. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's almost alien to think about. So I suppose that can be different in relationships. Now, we've talked about love relationships. I'm a serial singleton, so I ain't got anything to tell you guys at all. But if we talk about say family and siblings and stuff, what are the dynamics there for you?
Very different, like chalk and cheese. And same with my cousins. They're very similar too. We are just very much, my brother likes Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Enjoy life, and that's fine. He's not driven in the same way. It adds challenges in times. Like, my mum, my dad, and I are very similar, and my dad's always been very driven, career focused, and then did 37 years in the corporate world. And then mum was kind of more looking. She'd had 10 years off looking after us when we grew up, actually, and then went back to work.
What did your mum do?
She was in secretarial roles. Right. And then she had some time out of us. She used to work with my granddad years ago as well, interestingly. And then she went to work in a school. Was, again, probably another 10 to 15 years in the office. Very admin based, very on it, you know. Massive people person, my mum. Like, everybody adores her. Like, got a heart of gold. Like, I've always said that about my mum. Probably too much so at times, you know, like that, there's points. So we're very similar. We've all been very driven, ambitious. and my brother's a bit different from that. So yeah, it's just, it's an interesting one. I think it helps ground you on just knowing, like, we're all like seeing everybody for the fact that we all want different things, and that's okay. And no, like, the less of the judgment. Like, it doesn't make me better than him. And there's other stuff, like he's got a little girl, beautiful girl, and that family side that I don't have that. So it's just different. And again, that's that part. And I'll say for lots of people in business, because it's important when we talk about like success in business as well, that I always talk about success is just more than money for me. Like, there's so much more characteristics for me that play, and I often challenge a bit, and it's quite direct, but I'll say that I don't, if you've just got all the money in the world, that's not success to me. And I think we need to change a bit of conversation on success. And I see that as well, that everybody's, as long as you're living the life you want and you want to create, stop worrying so much about everyone else with this as well, with relationship and everything, their relationships, and just bring people more towards you, and surround yourself with great people that not, you need to have a bit of challenge sometimes, and you can't just be around everybody that thinks like you do. But we need to be mindful of, choose what you want as well for life, and that's okay. So he just wants a different lifestyle to the way I have. He's not big on holidays, he's not materialistic. I can be more materialistic than him. So yeah, it's interesting. But I think there's a level of sacrifice that I've made more in like my life with things, in terms of, like I said, like the kids, and he probably has more time with friends and stuff like that, and he has a bigger friend network than I do. So I see that a bit. I've sacrificed those types of things for what I've got with work. But
it's interesting, isn't it? It's
there's no right and wrong.
No,
and I think
100%.
you have to be very sensitive, I think, is the right word with something like this, because like I said, it's just what you want is what's important.
Yeah, but I feel that as a business owner, and even when I was a contractor, so when I worked in the corporate world, I was a contractor, so I was high on risk, right? Because people would look at me and go, what, you literally could get terminated tomorrow, and I'm like,
right,
yeah, but you're still there, and I'm like, yeah. And people couldn't get it. And I did that for over 20 years, literally just contracting. And then I left that and then went and started a business. And people look at me like I'm crazy. And there is that, I think there is that whole concern there and everything else. But I believe that we all choose what makes us feel comfortable. I love the drive of waking up in the morning and thinking, right, okay, who am I going to work with next? And, who am I going to have a chat to? And what other offer can I put out there? And, who am I going to spend a day with? Like, I love the fact that no day is ever the same. But I also respect somebody who has a 9-to-5 job. I don't know how to do it. Like, literally, I think about it and I want to choke, because I'm like, I don't know how you can go to the same place day in, day out for 20 years. I don't know how you could do it. But I love the fact that you've got stability in your life,
right?
Because you know where your money's coming from. You know what I mean? Like, there've been times when I've not been able to do certain things because I'm like, my cash flow isn't on point this month and stuff. And then there's other times when I go, we're on it, let's do it and stuff. So I get it. I get that whole thing. But I think it's more the fact that, especially with people in our community, especially from a woman's perspective, where women are judged as either being maybe careless with money because they invest more. And there's a lot of husbands that I've spoken to who have only started respecting the woman's decision when the money starts coming in.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think sometimes what I've come to see I do is, like, Tom and I are very independent on our own, and we're huge on this, that like we don't have separate lives, but like he has his work, I have my work, and then we also come together beautifully. But like we have our own friends with certain things as well, like, and we'll do our own thing. It's so important as well. Like, you live the life you want to do, not feel that you're just in like one little bubble together. My mum and dad are the same. I always joke they've got a better social life than I do, because they're always out here, there and everywhere. But that's what I love, and that inspires me to be like that as well, that, it's okay, like, just enjoy life what you want to do, and then come together, and it's incredible as well. And I think there's that part with business because there's that like deeper communication, there's that understanding, but then we also come together in that this is what we want, beliefs and the values of, and what we want for our future together is exactly the same and on point, and that's really important. And I think a lot of it also comes down to, before any of that, you have to be honest with yourself. And I don't think people are honest with themselves enough about the kind of relationship they have with themselves to start with, and the relationships they want to have with people in a work capacity, in in love relationships, in friendships as well. Because some people say the term like it's like seasons, isn't it, of relationships and things. And I think that we have to be again aware to that and what we really want.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? If I was the guy down the pub, or I don't know, people meet each other on Tinder and Bumble and all that stuff these days, you're swiping to just meet a nice person. You're not thinking of the dynamics of their roles. Does that make sense? And when you meet someone, the perception is normally that they've got a normal job. Does that make sense?
What's a normal job?
Exactly. So a normal, and I'll tell you this because the few times that I've done online dating, I did a test. When I said that I was a contractor, a business owner, the response I got was very different to when I said, oh, I'm a PA or a secretary. And it was more accepting.
Yeah.
It was almost like more palatable when I said I was a PA or a secretary, because it seemed more normal. I'm not saying it is normal. I'm saying people are going more for normal. So when you turn around and go, I've got my own business, for most people, it's like, you what?
I know.
Because people, I think, when they think of business people, they think of the likes of Richard Branson. Most people don't know business people. And even like someone like a plumber or an electrician, even though they have their own businesses, people don't see those as businesses. Like when we talk about businesses, it's a whole different scale.
Yeah.
And I think that can be quite intimidating to some people. So I don't think it matters how much you delve into yourself and do your work.
Yeah.
It must be such a shock when you eventually, even if it's not too much of a shock, like you need to digest it, because it comes with a lot. It comes with maybe not being at home as much as you'd like to, because you're traveling, longer days. You know, we've been up at 3:00 in the morning working individually and stuff, and we see each other online. And
it's interesting,
it's
because I do think back and think that part, like I can work any hours, and I like last night, like, I worked till midnight, and because I want to, and it's important to me to do those things, and like Tom just gets it, like
but it's taken a while. It
has taken a while, I guess it's that I don't have any fear of judgment with him on it, and because he believes in me too, that's an important thing.
Completely. But it's been a journey, is what I'm saying. It's like, you know, Tom has a job which is quite stable, so watching somebody else doing all hours would have taken some getting to used to. Like, yes, he's supportive because he wants you to do well and because he loves you and stuff, but it still takes some getting used to, because it's not the norm. Most people go to work 9:00 till 5 or do a shift job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I do think some of it still comes back to being honest with yourself and stuff, though, because lots of people in relationships they don't like, they're just not honest about it, and they're not truthful enough to change that and be open about that.
Yeah.
And for, like, I have to have somebody that understands what I do.
I don't see, in my opinion, I don't think that anybody will ever understand what I do. I think they can be supportive. I don't think they'll ever understand it, and I wouldn't expect them to. But the empathy and the support is all anybody can ever give you, because I've got friends,
but it's very hard for people to be empathetic because lots of people don't get what we do.
This is what I mean.
Right.
That's what I mean. It's like when you look at, like when you say, you know, with Tom and stuff, like he supports you. It's like he supports you from a place of empathy rather than getting it, because it's hard to get it. Because like if you said to him today, sorry Tom, we're talking about you a lot today, but you know, but if you say to him, do you know what, let's start a business together, he'd think you were drunk. He'd be like, you what?
Well, I would be, because it
Yeah.
would never happen.
Yeah. But you know what I mean, though? Because
Not
it's
unless I was helping him be a golf coach.
right. But it's so
football.
foreign. It's so foreign. So I'd never expect anybody to get what I do, but it's the support. So, for example, you know, having to deal with somebody like 2 days ago, I was talking to somebody who was in America, and the meeting started at 10 o'clock at night. You know, and but you have to be. You can't be in pajamas because it's a business. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you could be, just not your top half.
Just yeah. But you know what I mean, though. But it's like you're on business time.
Yeah.
And so you're having a full blown conversation and
showing up, baby.
You're showing up. You're showing up. And you know, and part of me goes, thank God I'm single, because I don't know who would cope with all of this.
Yeah.
And there are times when I have American calls back to back. So you're up so much later. It's different when you're sat there working, as opposed to having calls as well, because then you're bringing in a whole different energy into your home at ridiculous hours. You have to show up.
I mean, I look at it and think I do feel very grateful, because I think if we swing it round, and I can think, and I know of people where they've created, you know, they've wanted to start their own businesses, have done that, but they've been in long, like those relationships been long term, and those people see them moving on with their life, and they're not. They're just doing the same old, and that's really tough. It's really, and it's really sad, because I don't have the answers for that at all.
No.
Other than I would absolutely support that person if they wanted that, because again, like I said, like life's short, and I think like you choose the life you want. And again, a bit of that season stuff, and that's all relationships. There's certain relationships with people where I was very close with them in the corporate world, and there's a couple I'm seeing them tonight, like that we're still, since 18 we've known each other in that world, the corporate world, and they're still in it, and I'm not. Now they don't really get what I do, but the relationships are all there. There's other people where they've not probably been able to understand, or some maybe want as well to they don't want to understand, but they can't. They just, I think they see me in a different light, and I've had that's like and I know we've spoken a bit about it before, like there's a level of grief that goes through that, like you're losing a friendship, and it's really tough, because you feel like you feel a bit arrogant, or like, you know, like, is it on me? And it's like, but I don't want that life anymore. I'm not that person. I've become this now, and that's what I love and I want, and the reasons I want it. And it's tough, and that's part. It's not overnight.
I felt, see, with my relationships, I feel like my standards have changed. So like,
in what way?
My boundaries are a lot higher. So I'm very much sort of like, you know, I will talk to you at this time, and so I'm naturally a reacher outer.
Yeah.
And I don't reach out anymore and stuff. Like, I'm in my business. And also when my friendships and nurturing side of things, I need more nurturing in my business friendships than I do outside that. And it doesn't mean that I don't love the other friends I have. It's just that you and I are not going to have anything to talk about if we're just talking about, you know, whining and dining.
Yeah.
It's not where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like, I sacrifice a lot of my life by not going out, or going out intentionally. So I feel as if I've had to navigate my relationships and have very intentional ones.
Yeah.
And it's not been easy, because I've had some friendships where people, like you say, have grieved the loss of that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I have so many years to build my business, to create a legacy for myself, and that does not involve just chatting about nothing over the phone. Like, when you and I chat, it's like majority of the time we leave knowing exactly where we're going after that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, so are we meeting? Are we like, we always know that there's a follow through from that conversation. Even if we're just having a whinge at each other, we know that it's going to end up with a follow through. And that's what I need in my life right now. And that's what nurtures me. Not going to a bar, not having coffee, not talking about the weather, not interested. And because of that, my relationships have changed as well. But I have to, again, be selfish on that. And again, it's easier as well because I am not in a relationship, so I don't have to worry about anybody else as such, because I literally, I don't know what I do. I don't know what I do with him. I really don't. I don't know what I do. I'm just getting getting stressed thinking about it, and it doesn't even exist. I don't know what I'd do with him. I'd be like, just stay there, you know.
I guess the point here though is because we're probably a bit out of the norm with this as well, aren't we?
Just a little
So
bit.
if you are in, like, we talk a lot about, and we see it, don't we? We know that there's people in relationships where they're, I guess they could probably feel a bit trapped, and it's clearly we're not going to preach about this, but it's how do you start that again? How do you start that process of working through that? Because I think again, like, from what's coming through for me is like you just said about what you've just sacrificed and the life you want and where you're working towards and things. I'm very big on purpose in life, and my why is very, very strong. So knowing, again, there's a book by Bronnie Ware where she talks about the 5 regrets of dying. Like, I don't want to live life based on other people's expectations. That was like the number one regret. I don't really see regrets anyway, but I don't want to live my life based on, again, society's expectation, things like that, or what others expect of me, if it's not feeling aligned and true to me and connected. So it's where do people go and how do they start if they feel that kind of level of I'm feeling a bit trapped, or that people just around me don't get it? Because it's very easy to say. You can't, again, I remember years ago people were like, you need to cut them off. Like, that's just not reality. And it's not actually wise advice to give anybody. You just need to get new friends and cut them off, because you just shouldn't do that. But there are points in my life though that I look back on and know there was certain particular relationships where I was like, that's it, line in the sand, that's done now, I'm done. So how do people start that?
See, I think so again, a lot to unpack there. I think it's easily said when there's not much invested. So
yeah,
if you're a wife with children,
yeah,
and the conflict is between you and your husband, it's not a simple get up and walk away.
No,
it's so much more deeper. And we've seen it. We've seen people invest without telling their husbands. We've seen people literally stop their businesses because they're not getting the support. Like there's so many stories that continuously break my heart. But also I've seen ones where the business isn't going well for the woman and the man's job isn't going well, and they're trying their best just to put food on the table, and then to show your face in business circles and still have or feel like you've got some level of credibility and authority. It is tough. But I think we've spoken from a place of people who don't have children.
Yeah.
And also, you're in a relationship, not married. I'm not in a relationship. Sometimes those ties are so much more deeper.
Yeah.
And those relationships are more intertwined.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it comes to a space where understanding, what you're trying to do, and be able to articulate it. Because here's the thing, it's all about sales, and I'm bringing sales into it because you have to sell everything.
Yeah.
If you can sell what you're doing, then you may just get support from somebody in your household and in that relationship that you never expected, rather than trying to keeping it to yourself, like, oh, you're not going to understand.
Yeah.
Because sometimes our egos want to separate us and make us feel like nobody's going to understand what we do. But guess what? If you can tell, if I can tell my man, or my partner exactly how I'm intending to help people, they may just be that person that could come and help you and support you in your time. I remember my brother, his wife, was a teacher, and he would sit with her and mark her students' exams, because it was like, if this is a way for us to spend time with each other and this is important to you, then let's do it. So there's ways to navigate that without it being a conflict, but we also have the responsibility to be able to sell and help other people understand, rather than thinking that you're in it on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a fair response. It's interesting. Again, it's a change of perspective, isn't it?
Completely. I think as we're speaking, I'm like, it's very easy for us.
It is very easy, yeah.
Yeah, especially as women as well.
Yeah.
It's very easy for us to go, you don't understand, because it's a great get out
yeah.
thing and stuff, as opposed to going, can I tell you what I do?
Yeah.
And can I tell you, because then, and we know a lot of husbands and boyfriends who have jumped onto the business and are supporting their women, and are now employed by their women as well and stuff. And because they've realized that, wow, what you're doing is great. And here's the thing: if you're in a relationship, and this could be romantic or platonic, whatever you're looking at, you'll be surprised at how many values you share. And if you've created a business, the likelihood is that the same values that you share, your partner or your friend will share as well.
Yeah.
Which may mean that they may just have a vested interest in your business. They may even invest in your business. You don't know.
And I think bringing it back though, remembering that sometimes when we think, and it's easy, very much look at me and my brother with siblings as well, right? That they're doing it from a place of love.
Yeah.
Often.
100%.
And that's really key. It's not someone being a dick.
No.
Right. They're doing it to be because they care for you.
100%.
And it's again to break down that and just see it from their point of view at times, hence the perspective part. But yeah, I think that's really key to remember is people don't I don't think people intentionally wake up to bring misery on other people's lives would be nasty. So again, that compassion coming in, just, it's about again being open with like yourself on it, but then others as well. And I think that's the key.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming back to the love, right?
Coming back to the love. Always come back to the love. So, go away, share, tell people about your business. Tell your loved ones about your business. And we will see you for another episode of Leadership, Love and Laughter. Take care.
Thank you for listening. If you know someone who needs to hear this, please share it with them, and we would love you to subscribe. Remember, the insights shared only have value when you take action.